Welcome back to Fitwit. This is Shona Prabhu, and this is your one destination for all your queries on food and finance. Today I'm going to talk about immunity. And in the recent past, we've come across these words very often, which is immune system and immunity, because of its importance to good health. And it makes sense, right, with our changing conditions and environment, that we build a strong immune system so that it helps support our body fight against all these infections and viruses or bacteria that are in the environment and that may come our way. Generally, our bodies have two types of immunity, which is innate immunity and acquired immunity. Now, innate immunity is our body's first line of defense. So things such as your cough reflex, mucus secretion, your stomach acid, all of these help fight against viruses, bacteria, or other foreign particles trying to enter our body. The other immunity is acquired immunity or adaptive immunity, and this is something that we develop over time. So it's a complex system, and I like to think of it as soldiers, policemen, security guard that are fighting for us against all of the pathogens like viruses, bacteria, other foreign substances trying to attack our body. So this complex network is working for us 24 hours a day, 24/7 without a break. And the one thing that can influence or strengthen this adaptive immunity is by the food choices we make, and that's where nutrition plays a very critical and vital role. So how do you know if you have a weak immune system? These are some of the signs and symptoms that you have to look out for. So the most common one is if you catch a cold, cough, or infections very frequently and you take a long time to recover from them. The second one, which is interesting, is if you have gut issues such as constipation, diarrhea, bloating. All of these are suggestive of a weak immune system, because 70 to 80% of your immune cells reside in your gut. Now, the third one is if you are tired all the time or if you fatigue easily, then that could be a sign. The fourth is if you have high stress levels. And fifth is if your wounds take a long time to heal. Now, other aspects such as drinking a lot of alcohol or heavy smoking can also increase your risk for a weak immunity. So when we think of vitamins, vitamin A and C top the list. So for vitamin C, local foods such as amla, guava, lemon, tomatoes are great in vitamin C, and also bell peppers. And when you think of vitamin A, think of dark orange and dark green. So all your leafy green vegetables such as palak, amaranth, we have methi, drumstick leaves. These are great sources of vitamin A, and pumpkin, carrot, papaya. Now, when it comes to minerals, zinc and selenium top the list. So for zinc, think of nuts and seeds. So, adding them into your porridges or putting them into salads, or even making powders that you can mix in your milk or other smoothies are a great way to incorporate the nuts and seeds. And other sources of zinc are chicken and also shellfish. So if you live around the coastal side and you have access to them, they are a great source of zinc. Now, when it comes to selenium, one of the most abundant sources of selenium are found in the Brazil nut. So it's a very big size nut, but that's the name it goes by. Okay, and eggs, chicken also are good sources of selenium. Now, another vitamin that is found naturally in sunlight, which is vitamin D, is an immune supporting vitamin. So if you can get 15 to 20 minutes of sunlight in a day, especially we live in a sunlight abundant country like India, getting it between 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Or in the day really is the best time to get vitamin D from sunlight. So getting some sun is great. And other things that can help strengthen your immunity are including good probiotics. So, common things like curd, every day in the diet, or buttermilk, whenever the weather permits, or if you feel comfortable having it, are good sources for probiotics. And fermented foods also can add to probiotics. So your idli and dosa batter can also contribute to that. Other drinks like kombucha can also have good probiotics in them. So the last component when it comes to good immunity is protein-rich foods. And for vegetarians, good sources of protein include tofu, soya, paneer, dairy products such as milk and curd, and also soya milk. Apart from this, for non-vegetarians, we have, chicken, there is fish, there's eggs. So make sure that you have good quality protein sources in your diet through the day, because they really play a part in strengthening the immune system, because one component of our immune system called immunoglobulins contain protein in their structure. So that's how it helps. And including protein in every meal is a good way to make sure you're getting your protein fix for the day. So guys, if you like this video, please subscribe and hit the bell icon.
Welcome back to Fitwit. I'm Namrata Singh. This is the one destination for all your queries on food and finance. Today I'm going to be talking about emergency funds. Now, what are emergency funds? And why are they called emergency funds in the first place? Emergency funds are funds that we create for ourselves to help us during emergencies or unforeseen circumstances. The recent COVID crisis caught us off guard. We know of a lot of people whose personal lives were ruined. Nobody predicted COVID. Similarly, there could be a lot of other circumstances which could come and hit us. Job loss, हमारी नौकरी जा सकती है. Our family members may fall ill. हमारी या हमारे घर वालों की तबीयत खराब हो सकती है. घर को बहुत बड़ी मरम्मत की ज़रूरत पड़ सकती है. Our car may need repairs. All these things do not come with a warning. So if we could plan or set aside funds in advance to meet such contingencies, it could help us in a big way. The emergency fund will ensure that we are not borrowing at high interest rates or withdrawing cash from credit cards. It will also help us ensure that we are not derailing our long-term investments, like the funds that we set aside for retirement or children's education, to meet short-term contingencies. It will basically create a safety net and help us reduce stress levels. Now, how much should we set aside into our emergency fund? In my view, we should set aside at least 4 to 6 months of our monthly expenses into the emergency fund. The monthly expense amount should include our EMIs. So if our monthly expense is 50,000 rupees, for simplicity, we should set aside a bare minimum of 2 lakhs into the emergency fund. The emergency fund allocation should increase as our expenses go up or as we age. Someone who's closer to retirement should be setting aside at least 24 months of monthly expenses into the emergency fund. What are the instruments that we can use to create the emergency fund? We can set aside funds into our savings account, bank fixed deposits, or by investing into liquid mutual funds. Bank fixed deposit rates are pretty high at this juncture. It's a good time to lock in the high rates. Liquid mutual funds are nothing but very short-term safe money market instruments which can be withdrawn at 1 day's notice. I would not recommend taking any risk when creating an emergency fund. Let's understand that emergency funds are getting created to meet or help us during a contingency, right? So we will not take any risk when we are creating an emergency fund. We need to ensure that we are using the emergency fund only for emergencies and no other purposes. We need to plan for a plan not going according to plan. A famous quote by Morgan Housel. An emergency fund helps us do exactly that. the recent COVID crisis has made emergency funds a necessity in our lives. Let's promise ourselves to create an emergency fund for our own well-being and the well-being of our family members. If you like our video, please subscribe by hitting the bell button. For all your queries, you can mail us on fitwitglobal@gmail.com. Thank you.